Welcome to Mediocre Gaming, and today we're playing Deep Rock Galactic. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Zarel. Let's get to it. Alright, so today we're doing the Deep Dive Covetous Position. But before we get to that, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell to be notified of all future episodes as soon as they go live. Alright, so let's get into it. Stage 1 of the Deep Dive has you refining liquid morkite and recovering one black box. The black box, you just have to find it, and then it kind of flashes on your screen, pulses so that you know where it's at, and then it's just kind of a zone control. You just need to stay within the dome, let that percentage fill up, and then you're done with that part. Sounds simple. Of course, you're going to be having waves or swarms of enemies coming at you. Now, the Deep Dive, as you know, is a 3-stage endeavor. It is a very raid-like environment. You can go it alone if you want. If you don't, you can go with up to 3 of your friends. If you don't have 3 friends that play DRG, you can matchmake with up to 3 other people and then take them with you along the ride. Or join another party. Whatever you want to do. If you have 4 people on your team, it's more than likely going to go faster. It does scale with the number of people, so it does become more difficult the more people there are. However, having 4 sets of hands, 4 sets of eyes, and of course 4 weapons at the ready is going to make a difference in each of these. Otherwise, you're going to have to do all the legwork yourself if you're doing this alone. Mostly. If you are by yourself, you will be able to take Bosco with you. Alright, so the difference between a normal assignment and the Deep Dive, as I've already said, there's 3 stages, plus in a normal assignment you have a main objective and a optional secondary objective that gets you extra credits. In the Deep Dive you have 2 mandatory objectives, or 2 main objectives, and then you can get out. So you don't have a choice, you have to get all those done. Now, in the case of refining liquid morkite, you have to build a pipeline from the rig out to each pump jack, and there are 3 pump jacks, and you can make it however complex as you want, depending on your job class or combination of job classes that you have. That might determine how you get from one area to the next. If you're an engineer, you can put platforms down to make it a little bit easier to go from a higher or lower location to that difference in elevation. If you're a driller, you can almost always take a straight line approach from one location to the next, unless there is a large space in between. Now, once you have everything hooked up and you've done the black box, then you're ready to pump the liquid morkite. And it will fill up, and you'll see it on the side of the screen. It'll go from 0% all the way up to 100, but it will stop along the way where you have to repair. And of course, you have to survive the waves or the swarms of enemies coming after you. The pipelines will leak, and you'll have to go and fix them. So find a defensible position, I would say not on the rig, and then defend that position. When you have to repair, and once it gets to 100%, go back to the rig to send it off. I say the rig probably isn't the best spot because it is not as defensible. You tend to get swarmed from every direction if you're on the rig. So not necessarily the best place to try to defend. Once you call it in, you only have a few seconds before you have to worry about getting out. You'll see the drop pod go to probably one of the more remote locations, and then go ahead and make your way over there, get on, and you're ready for stage 2. Now this is a good time to point out that in between the stages, everything will carry over. Your health will carry over, the amount of ammo, whatever resources that you're carrying. If you didn't have the ability or time to drop it in the mule or the side of the drop pod, and the nitra and gold that you've collected will carry over from one stage to the next. So the first 2 stages, you do not want to call in resupply pods unnecessarily. If you need it, obviously call it in. If you do not, don't, because you will likely need it further on in stage 2 and certainly stage 3. On to stage 2. We have collecting a quarks, so that is point extraction with 1 dreadnought with the modifiers of Volatile Guts and Rival Presence. Rival Presence is a new one for Season 2. It means that you're going to have patrol bots and shredders that you'll have to contend with, and perhaps other things like turrets. So be on the lookout for that. And then Volatile Guts means whenever you kill one of the bugs, they will explode. If they're next to other bugs, then they could damage them, but if you're near them, they will damage you. So be aware of that. Now, more than likely, you're going to want to take out the dreadnought on the earlier side if possible, and make sure that you call in whatever resources that you need to take him out. Obviously, you don't want to get to the point where you're completely empty, and you'll see that I did just that. Although we did have a resupply pod, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Do remember that once you get to this point, you're about halfway through the mission. So if you've only called down 1 or 2 resupplies by this point, and you've got the nitra to spare, obviously you might want to call in another one. Now hopefully you've been collecting nitra. It's a very, very valuable resource during the deep dives, because every 80 nitra is a resupply. If you're playing with 3 other people, that is 50% of all ammo and other supplies, including grenades and travel, whatever travel equipment that you have. For the gunner, it is a zip line. For the driller, it is the drill. Engineer, it is the platforms. So having extra ways to get around the map is certainly good. But of course, having ways to take out enemies is even better. So make sure that you have enough of the resources to call in for more ammo. You're certainly not going to be able to take out any dreadnoughts with just your pickaxe. Now, it's also important to mention survival bonuses. So if everyone is able to get onto the drop pod at the end of each stage, then you're going to have a larger bonus at the end than if only 1 or 2 people make it for each stage. So it's best to stay together. It's best to help each other out and get out together, because that will allow you to get the biggest bonus at the end. Now, one of the things with the dreadnoughts, most, if not all of them, they have a kind of invulnerability stage and a damage stage. So when they are vulnerable, when you can damage them, that is the time for everyone to focus on the dreadnought and do as much damage as possible. Once you have all the Aquarks and the Dreadnoughts down, then you're ready to go. One of the other things with this stage is that you want to do this as quickly as possible. You want this stage to go very, very fast. You don't want to be sticking around any longer than you have to, because point extraction has waves of enemies coming at you on an increasing basis, so it becomes harder and harder to look for Aquarks and mine the Aquarks when you're having to deal with bugs coming after you on a constant or increasing basis. So make sure that you get the Aquarks very quickly, take out the Dreadnought, and get on your way. The faster you do this stage, the better. And I can't overemphasize that enough. Unlike some stages where you have swarms on a regular basis, where every 3 to 5 minutes you have a wave of enemies coming at you. This one might start at 5 minutes, but then it increases or decreases in between, or your rest period in between swarms becomes less, so then you have to attack more often. Alright, now on to the third stage. We have regenerative bugs, so if you don't kill them, they will regain their health. And you have to take out 2 Dreadnoughts and find 2 alien eggs. Now it's important to note that when the alien eggs and the Dreadnought cocoons are both on the terrain scanner, so you can see where they're at very easily. Make sure that you're communicating with your team so everyone knows what everyone's doing, where they're at, etc. throughout the deep dive, not just on this stage. Additionally, alien eggs, every time you pop one out, there is approximately a 50% chance of having a swarm show up. The Dreadnoughts obviously are one of those situations where you need a lot of ammunition or ways to take that bug out, depending on which Dreadnought that you have, whether it's Hive Guard or the double, the Lacerator Arbalest combo, or something else. So do make sure that during that damage phase for the Dreadnoughts that you're doing everything you can to take them out when it's the damage phase, and then when they're invulnerable, you can kind of regroup. If one of your teammates go down, bring them back up, because that's extra firepower that you'll need to take down the threat. Now hopefully at this point you've got a plethora of nitra. Well, hopefully you have also a bunch of gold as well, because that will add to your credit score at the end of the mission. So make sure that you are mining both the nitra and the gold as needed. If you have plenty of nitra, then you can call down plenty of resupplies, and you can do so with abandon on this stage, because this is the final leg of the journey, and having that abundance of ammo makes you feel more powerful, because you can throw out more grenades, you can use your ammo without worrying so much about having to deal with enemies later. Now we had a Hive Guard and we had the Glyphid Dreadnought. Both of them difficult in their own way. The Hive Guard has other Glyphids that you have to take out first before you can even think about damaging the Dreadnought, and then you take down the shield, so to speak, and then do the damage. The Glyphid Dreadnought, you take out the shielding and then it becomes vulnerable, and then you have to do the damage as much as you can, and then it'll go invulnerable and regain the shield, and then you have to do you know, rinse and repeat, do the whole thing until you're able to take them out. During the damage phase, you just want to do as much damage as possible to reduce that health bar. And thankfully, regenerative bugs does not include dreadnoughts. And once you've gotten the alien eggs and the dreadnoughts, congratulations, you're ready to get out. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check us out on social media, and thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And we'll see you next time.
Minus 5 minutes.
Provided. Don't get too.
Drop pod departing in T-minus 4 minutes. The mule is secured. Initiating launch sequence. Deep Rock Galactic thanks you for your good work. Drop pod will leave with or without you.
Is there a bloody target taken on my for rock and stone?
Rock and stone. I ain't gonna tell you again. Galaxy's finest.
That's one for the books. Retrieving escape pod.